Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my May wrap up. This is for the second half of May. I do bi-monthly wrap ups just because I read quite a bit of books and it just makes this video a little less daunting if I can split it up into two. So without further ado, let's just hop into the video. So because it is the end of the month wrap up, I'm going to go over the statistics that I had for this month. So I read 26 books in total in May and 11 since the mid wrap up. Happy Place was definitely my favorite, which was included in the first half of the month. So if you want to hear my full thoughts, make sure you go check out that video. I read 6,474 pages and listened to 86.58 hours of audio. I read 8 physical books, 9 digital books, and 9 audiobooks. And my top 5 genres were romance, contemporary, fantasy, young adult, and erotica. With reading 26 books this month, that brings my total up to 104 books for the year so far, which I can't believe I've already hit 100 books. Like a couple of years ago, it would have been crazy for me to even hit 50 books. So the fact that I'm reading this much is just amazing. I'm just happy that reading has come back into my life. Like, honestly, I'm just so happy about it. Anyways, let's talk about the books that I read now. The first book that I read is the Casanova by T.L. Swan. This is the third book in the Miles High Club series. This one follows Elliot and Kate. Elliot is like the CEO, I think, of the London branch, and Kate is their like lead tech. I can't remember exactly what she does, but I'm pretty sure she does like something with like IT. She's like one of the lead IT people in the company, and whenever they have to interact, they really butt heads. They just do not like get along at all, but they each in their own ways end up on this dating app as like hidden profiles because she is forced by her friends and he has to make an account in order to report a catfish of an account that was using his own photos. So they both end up here and end up just in a conversation but without knowing each other, and they're just like flirting, and then they get along so much they realize they really get along, and the rest is history. So I gave this one 3 stars, 3.5 stars, and honestly, I don't really remember what happened. I remember he sort of had a farm at one point. But the fact that it's really did not stick my mind, that it's not memorable, maybe I should have made this rating even lower. I remember not really liking the plot, but I did like the characters and I liked the writing. I liked the like banter and all of that. I think I'm guessing there was probably some sort of miscommunication that I really didn't like, because that's probably the case. But yeah, I gave this one 3.5 stars. I don't know how I feel about the series in general. I'm gonna probably finish it, but it's definitely not my favorite. Like, in my opinion, I don't know if it's worth all the hype that I've seen about this series. Next, I read Moonlight on Nightingale Way. This is the 6th book and the final, like, full book in the On Dublin Street series, and I'm honestly so sad that this series is over, especially because this book was a little bit of a disappointment. It was, like, pretty low on the ranking of the books in the series. I didn't really like him. I think that was like, I didn't really like the male main character. Like, when I was looking back on it, I liked the plot, I liked the characters, but I think the problem is that I just didn't love anything about this story. It was definitely messy. There's secret baby in this one, which I don't usually typically mind as a trope, but I don't know. Something about this book just didn't work for me. It just wasn't as good as some of the other books in the series. So I give it 3.75 stars. I'm a little disappointed about that this is the way I'm leaving that series, but I think I'm going to go back and read some of the novellas in this series because I just am not ready to leave this world yet, you know? The next book I read was My Sinful Love by Lauren Blakely. This is the 4th book in the Sinful Men series, and I really liked this one. I didn't realize that this was going to be sort of the ending of the romantic suspense element that's sort of like tied throughout this book. So I kept expecting whenever they were like closing down on things that it wouldn't actually wrap up, because there's a 5th book in this series. So I was just not expecting it. But I guess the 5th book is more of like a novella type book rather than part of the actual series. I'm still gonna read it, but I'm a little disappointed that the romantic suspense element is like sort of wrapped up in this book. But yeah, I really liked this book. The plot was really interesting. I kind of wanted it to wrap up a little differently. I kind of felt like it wasn't predictable. I definitely didn't see it coming, but I also just didn't feel like it tied up nicely, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. It is a really good series, and they definitely listen to the audio of this book because it is like, it's full cast audio and it's just a lot of fun to read. Okay, and then I finally read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I've had this book on my TBR for like, I think years, but like on my monthly TBR that I film for like this entire year. I just have read, I feel like I've read books with like a similar plot. It is beautifully written. It is interesting, but I feel like I've read better historical books about World War II, and something just like that thing really rubbed me the wrong way while I was reading it. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I can see why people love it, but it was okay for me. Okay, and next I read Vow Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is the second book in the Dance of Thieves series, and it's been almost a year since I read the first one in the series, so I didn't remember a lot, but I felt like the author did a really good job at making me remember a lot of the plot points from the first book, because I never was really confused about what was going on. I love Cassie and Jace so much. Like, I forgot how much I love them. Honestly, the thing about these books is I wanted more romance. And I know that's like silly because these are fantasy books, but I kept like just wanting to hear more about about Cassie and Jace. Like, I didn't really want to know about all the other like side plots and characters and things like that were going on. I really liked it, but I just wanted more romance. And so I gave it 4 stars. It wrapped up really nicely too. I didn't read the like trilogy that goes before these two, and I don't think you need to, but I think that maybe it adds to it. It could have added to it. I'm not sure. It scratched that fantasy romance itch that I was looking for when I picked this up. The next book I read was Dreams of a Dark Warrior by Kresley Cole. This is the 11th book in the Immortals After Dark series. I'm slowly but surely making my way through this series. I'm sort of listening to the podcast Fated Mates as I go through it, which is really interesting because honestly, they pick up a lot more than I ever do when I'm reading the book, and also because they've read the series already, they sort of know what plot points are going to be really important for future books, and they can tell you that in the podcast. So it's been a lot of fun reading and reading the books and listening to the podcast. But this one was definitely just not my favorite of the series. I liked the plot and the idea behind it, but I really did not care for the male main character. And they know, and like they mentioned that in the podcast, that he is just like not a likable character. He's literally torturing people in this book. I don't want to spoil it because like this is the 11th book in a series, so like I don't want to say too much because it will spoil it. I just wanted Regan to have a better story. I was waiting for her book since like the first book, and I just wanted her to have more. So I give this one 3.75 stars. I like the direction that this story is, like the world is getting built towards, but this one just was not my favorite. Then I listened to the audiobook of The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan, and this book is so cheesy. So basically it follows 4 women who are in like a wartime cookery competition where they're having to use rations and like be creative with cooking because of war. They needed to ration everything. So they have this cooking competition where the winner is going to have their own radio show and teach women across the UK how to make delicious recipes while staying within the different rations that are being held. So that's what I thought the plot was, but really it's just like, it's a found family story. It's about women and friendship and all of that, and it was just so cheesy. I really liked the idea behind it, but oh wow, some of the lines in it were just like, wow. Like the author didn't really let us work our way towards like this being like a found family. She really just shoved our faces in it. Like she's like, wow, and then everyone was happy together, and like everyone, and then like I don't know how else to describe it, but like it was just so cheesy. I mean, I liked the idea behind it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I just really wish that it was a little less cheesy. I feel like this book had so much potential and it just did not live up to its potential. Okay, and then I reread Beach Read, but I read the UK version, and I mean, I'm always gonna love Beach Read. I love it so much. I am currently in my reread of the Emily Henry books because I like to, whenever she puts out a new book, I like to compare all of the other ones and then put them in my order. And honestly, I don't know if Beach Read I think Beach Read and Happy Place are just so tied for me this year. Happy Place was just exactly what I wanted when I was reading it, but I will always love Gus and January so much in their story. It was really interesting to see the different ending in this book, and I've got to say, I like the US version better. This is a really good ending for the book, but I kind of think that but I really like that cheesy at the end. People get engaged, people get married, people have babies. Like I really like that end, like that cheesy epilogue. I'm just gonna tell you what the difference between them are, but if you don't want to know that for some reason, just skip 30 seconds ahead. Anyways, so the difference between this one is that Gus and January, they're sitting on the beach and they're like happy, and they're happy in their like happy right now stage. Whereas in the US version, he throws her this big party just sort of like at the beginning of the book for his birthday party, and there he proposes to her. So they're both really good endings, but I think I prefer the US version for sure. Okay, and then I read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And again, this book was just so cheesy. I feel like if I had read it like 2 years ago when it was really popular, I probably would have really liked it. But at this point in my life, this book was not for me. I just felt like it was just like the whole point of the book was that you don't, like, there's no reason to be depressed because everyone has a shitty part of their life, and no matter what you choose in life, you're gonna have some shitty parts in life. And I'm like, I get it, but I don't really want to read a book about that. And like, I don't know, I just didn't like it. So I gave it 3.25 stars. It was beautifully written. I liked the concept. I liked the concept of the Midnight Library. It just wasn't for me. Okay, and then I read Jana Goes Wild. I got this as a arc. I feel like this book could have been so good, but I just did not feel the chemistry. I felt like the whole book was based on really based on miscommunication, and it was really annoying me at parts because they're supposed to be adults and be able to have conversations, especially because they have a kid together. So Jana and Emil were dating at one point. She finds out that he was actually still married while they were dating. His wife had left him and did not tell him where she was going, so he could not get a divorce, but he never told Jana that that's what was his situation was. He said that it was a divorce and it was very amicable. So after she found that out, they had like a really bad breakup, and then she also found out that she was pregnant. Which he wanted to be a part of the baby's life, and she didn't think that she could deny him that. So she still sort of has to see him all the time, especially because he is friends with a bunch of her friends. It's how they met. They have a bunch of mutual friends. So they're constantly getting put together, and this all accumulates into this wedding for two of their best friends where he's a groomsman and she's a bridesmaid. So they have to see each other for like this 2-week long wedding. And It's very messy, but I just feel like there's so much time that they could have communicated. And I get that Jana was hurt, but like I don't know. I just felt like the lack of communication in this book was very apparent. I did like the concept. I liked the writing. The writing was really well done. I really liked like some of the lines and stuff like that in the book, but I just really, the miscommunication really brought down the rating for me. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Okay, and last but not least, I reread People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and honestly, I actually liked this book a lot more this time read through than I have in the past. I did listen to it on audio, and I think that really helped. Their banter in this book is just so good. It almost makes up for the miscommunication at the end, or even just throughout the book, I guess. Compared to her other books, this just like does not hit for me. So I think this one's a 4-star. The rest of them are 5 stars. I mean, I'm rereading Book Lovers right now, so don't hold me to that, but I think that is my rankings as of right now. Happy Place and Beach Read are like very neck and neck, and then it's Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation. That is all the books that I read in May. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, leave me in the comments down below what your favorite book you read this month was. Subscribe if you're not already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.